several months ago, I was just sort of twittering around on some sites that you can buy samples from, just trying to smell things that I hadn't gotten my nose on. And one of the things that really took away my attention, or grabbed my attention, I should say, was, as you can probably tell from the title of the video, Annick Goutal's Sables. Looks like Sables, like the fur, but is actually pronounced Sables. Sables means sands in French, the sands, or the dunes. This came out in 1985, and according to Luca Turin, give him whatever credit you want to give him, he thinks that this is one of the best scents that has ever come out of the house of Annick Goutal. It was actually created by Annick, who is now passed away. She passed away about 15 or 16 years ago. For her husband, who is a cellist. Annick used to be a classical musician herself before she ran away and eventually started her own perfume house. But she ended up marrying a cellist by the name of Hélène Mounier, and she created this for him, having in mind the trips down long sandy beaches that they would take in Africa, I think Morocco. Long, sandy, duney sort of beaches. So that's the inspiration she has behind this scent. This doesn't really, there's nothing sandy or duney or beachy about this to me, but I still wanted to talk about it because I thought it was really incredibly unique. So the top notes of Sables are Immortelle, which is also known as the everlasting flower, and cinnamon, and there's pepper and black tea at the heart, and sandalwood and amber at the base. Sables is classified as an oriental woody. I wouldn't classify it as an oriental woody at all. I don't think there's much oriental about it. The sandalwood is a pretty faint afterthought in the dry down, and there are no other woods that I find especially prominent. I guess Oriental could fit for a few reasons, which I'll talk about, but woody not so much. So Immortelle has this famous reputation in the world of florals for overtaking many of the compositions that you try to stick it in. You put it in a perfume, it just ends up overtaking the whole composition. And it's been said to have a smell that, first of all, it's quite strong. It's been said to have a smell that rests somewhere between burnt sugar and ham. I mean, it's got a very unique smell, and once you learn what Immortelle smells like, and once you smell it, you sort of will never forget what it smells like. So I get a lot of burnt sugar out of this. I get and something distinctly like caramelized meat. I'm not sure it was intended to be a gourmand, but it's very much like the top of a creme brulee, or the outside of a ham that's had like brown sugar covered all over it and put under a really hot oven, and then just left to sort of caramelize there. Very, very interesting smell. Instead of creating a perfume that was sort of overtaken by the aggressiveness of Immortelle, she decides to just not try to hide Immortelle at all, but just to sort of, make up a perfume that, Immortelle would be the pedestal, and we're not going to hide it. We're just going to let it shine. And so basically, this is what it is. It's Immortelle on the base of, some pleasant, shiny amber, with some uniquely chosen, nice heady spices. So, in the opening, what I get is definitely the sugar in the Immortelle, which seems to come off kind of, like I said, like a creme brulee. The ham doesn't come to the fore as much as you kind of get a distinct fenugreek note, if you're familiar with the spice from cooking. At the very top, you can get sort of like a treacly, sweet maple syrup. But if that turns you off, all you need to do is wait for a few minutes, because the dry down is pretty interesting. So after several minutes of that blast of maple syrup, you start to detect something that is like pepper, a black pepper note, along with a phenyl anisic accompaniment that gives Sables a noticeably medicinal and what I would call sort of apothecary-like feel to the heart of the fragrance. And this is also where you'll pick up this cinnamon, this sweet, medicinal, herbal stage is by far my favorite stage of the perfume. The base of the perfume, once you get there, is like a sweet vanilla with just the barest touch of sandalwood and still those lingering medicinal spice notes that never really go away. This is a scent that really lends itself to darkness, I think. It's a very dark, brooding kind of smell. It rouses in me the kind of like mood that makes me wonder about the kind of relationship that Annick and Alain had in order for this to come to mind when she thought of him. For a fragrance this unique, longevity and sillage matter less to me, quite frankly. What makes Sables so sought after is its sort of unrepentant uniqueness, right? It doesn't, it screams different, and it wants to scream different. Nevertheless, Sables sets off, lasts. Sables lasts a long time and projects quite well for a few hours, after which it begins to sit more closely to the skin. Price-wise, 100 mils retails for $115, but you can find it for less than half that if you look. I have heard about a reformulation. I'm not a reformulation, person really, but a couple of people on Facebook groups who really, really love this. I can't say I'm one of those people who really loves it, but the ones who do have mentioned that it has been tampered with, and the longevity projection and overall punch of the fragrance has suffered for it. So maybe get yourself a modern day sample, and if you really, really love it, vouch for a vintage bottle. So, final thoughts. This is probably going to be what's referred to as maybe a love or a hate fragrance. I don't hate it. I would never wear it, but I don't hate it. I think it's perfectly unisex. I think women could wear it too. But between the sweetness, the licorice vibe from the anise and the other spices, it might be best worn around people who already know you, or maybe maybe just when you're alone. If you sort of wear this out to work or whatever, you're probably going to send off a pretty strong impression. The first couple of times I wore it, I really didn't like it, but it grew on me a little bit. Not so much that I would wear it on a regular basis, like I said, but sometimes with time comes appreciation and a sort of a fondness for something, even though you don't find something beautiful or something captivating. Time will sort of let something grow on you, and I think this is what happened here. It's like I said, unrepentantly different, unique. Some might even say beautiful. I know, and like I said, I know a couple of people who have it as their signature scent. So this is certainly something to check out as I discover that my sample is leaking a bit. If any of that sounds interesting. So here you go. Annick Goutal, Sables, the Sands. Bye, guys.